balanced, waiting for the nudge that would set them into motion. And once started, the stones dislodged other, even larger boulders and activated a catastrophic landslide, right above the monsters' heads. Despite the almost impossible odds, their trap had worked. He watched as the massive stones fell on the delicate flyer, crushing it beyond all hope of repair. But the aliens' reflexes were inhumanly fast. A moment before the devastating rockfall ended their lives, one of the red aliens whirled, aimed, and pulled the trigger. And with that shot, he was mortally wounded, killing the hopes of his people. Now only death remained. He would never reach the ship. He looked at the night sky, watching as violent winds tore an opening in the black canopy, allowing him to see the stars. He searched for one particular light, remembering the exact position it occupied at this time of year. When he finally saw it, he raised his hand painfully upwards as if to touch it. There it was, just a tiny twinkling point of light in the sky, but he knew it was the red planet. It was the most important place in the universe as far as he was concerned. His son was hidden on that desolate world, waiting for his parents to come for him. But that would never happen now. He would remain there, asleep, for eternity. His last thought was a prayer, that one day someone would find his little boy and wake him. With a sense of finality, the dying man did something he hadn't done for a long time. He activated his implant and instructed it to play images from those happier times, images of his son, wife, and their idyllic home. It didn't matter anymore if the other packs of monsters detected his position. Isian closed his eyes for the last time as the acidic, ashy rain washed the tears down his face. Chapter 1. Spaceship Excalibur, Low Earth Orbit. Michael sipped a cold beer while sitting in the pilot's chair on the Excalibur. The Ascension no longer relied on it for the myriad behind-the-scenes tasks as it once had. Hundreds of MIs installed throughout it were now responsible for the day-to-day workings of the massive city ship. Besides, Max had mentioned how Ares needed to have more human interaction and learn about responsibility, so the young AI had been assigned to supervise it all. Michael had taken the spaceship out to be alone for a while. It seemed to him that recently he was no longer the master of his own time. He only had a finite amount of time every day, and everybody seemed to want some of it, leaving him less and less time for what he knew to be truly important. Time for himself to simply decompress, and think, and process, and time to be alone with Elizabeth. What with daily meetings and incessant questions seeking his opinion on things, he found himself making decisions that impacted other people's lives greatly, and it bothered him. He was slowly turning into that hideous life form he'd always had an aversion to. He was becoming a politician. So, he had flown the Excalibur out of the bay, parked it in low Earth orbit, and simply relaxed, enjoying the view and the eternal tranquility of the place. Max received specific instructions in case someone was looking for him. He was to tell everyone that Michael was unavailable unless it was a life-or-death situation, except for Elizabeth. She had the authorization to reach him any time. Looking down at Earth from this perspective moved him every single time he saw it. It was so beautiful and fragile. The old girl was constantly under attack from the very beings it nurtured into existence. And being here in Leo was a good place to find some solitude and unwind. At least it would be if his mind would stop thinking about all the things they'd done. So much had been accomplished in such a short time. Yet his inner drive still pushed him onward, fearful that if they stopped, all forward momentum would vanish. And then where would they be? Case in point, almost 6 months had passed since they had retrieved the heavy memory block and the AI core from the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and they still hadn't been able to access either of them. They hadn't given up on them, but the big memory cube had been left mostly undisturbed. What little examination Max had performed confirmed it had anti-tampering safeguards. If it was messed with enough, it would erase itself, which was the last thing they wanted. As for the AI core, there was only the small problem of activating the mind held inside. It needed multiple support systems, but the only ones available that could run it were Max's, and he had no intention of turning himself off just to see who was stored in it. Since Ares ran on